I'm going to bring you a series of simple Italian cooking, cheap and delicious. So today I'm going to do some pizzas. I used to do pizzas quite often in Minnesota, but I used to get bored with making the dough. But since my wife bought me an awesome bread machine with a really difficult name to pronounce, life has got super simple. And it actually makes some of the best pizza dough that I've been able to make. On page 19 of the manual, the traditional pizza dough recipe is the one that I always use. So let's start making these pizzas. So I've already made the dough. It takes around about 1 hour 20 minutes, and it's been sitting there for a little while, and you can see it's risen quite nicely. So the first thing to do is prepare your work surface. So I'm going to put a bit of flour just to prevent some sticking, and try and get this dough out of the machine. So as you can see, it's full of air, but we're going to squish this down and split up into pizza portions. If it sticks to your hands, just get some of the flour over it and you'll be able to work it a little bit easier. As I said, this makes around about 3 pizzas. So the first thing we need to do is divide it roughly into 3. What you will learn about my cooking is nothing often gets measured, and it's all pretty much all by eye. But I find that as long as you're adding enough flour, things generally work out. And you can find flour in aisle 3 of most good supermarkets. So we've got roughly 3 portions of the flour, of the dough, sorry. We'll save those for the next couple of pizzas, and we'll work with this slightly larger one. So you can see it's not sticking, so it's ready to be worked. Just going to give it a bit more flour. So working the dough, I'm no expert and I'm not about to start throwing this about, but what I generally do is just get some of the air out and start working it into a general shape before I attack it with a rolling pin. Some of you more competent chefs will no doubt be able to throw this around. I've been told that you want to work the dough as little as possible because it makes it tough and not that great. So the less you work it, the better. But if you do make a mistake, and it does happen, you can reform it and start again. I just opted for the simple life and using rolling pins and making a very thin crust Italian style pizza and try and make it as round as possible. So prior to doing the dough, I've already made the salsa, and it's a homemade sauce, and I made that with just 1 tin of crushed tomatoes or whatever tomatoes you might have. Sometimes I use absolutely fresh tomatoes and fresh basil, a little bit of garlic and salt. I hate using tins. I won't use tin, it's a waste of money and it never tastes that great. So already I'm making a proper mess of this pizza dough, but it will taste the same once it's cooked. So some of you might have pizza paddles. It's probably a good investment. Maybe I'll purchase one with some of the royalties that the bread machine with no name won't want to pay me, or I don't know, some Italian pizza company that sells Italian pizza paddles. Do send me one for free in the mail. So I use a chopping board, a little thin chopping board. I'm not sure where it's from, but it works just fine. I've already got the oven preheated to 525 degrees. I have a pizza stone in there as well, and I'm pretty much ready to start topping this pizza. So the sauce that I'm using, like I said, homemade sauce, super easy to make. In another film, if you request tips on how to make this, I might actually share it with you. Super easy, super cheap, and absolutely delicious. So what I generally do is I'll put a little bit of olive oil on. The only reason I do this is I've seen it done in some of the Italian restaurants that I've gone to. And we just get that around. I think it stops some of the sauce from getting into the dough. Kind of leaves it on the top. I use extra virgin olive oil from Costco or Sam's Club, whatever you might be a member of. I use so much that the membership pays for itself just in olive oil. Always get the stuff that's made and produced in Italy because it's the best olives. Don't be going for the Spanish ones, but that's just my preference. So I'm kind of generous. I've got enough for 3 pizzas in there. Spread this around liberally. And obviously you can top the pizza with anything you might want. Some people might just use a spoon to spread it out, but again, I'm no master chef. I'm just an enthusiastic practice chef. So it depends what you want on it. This sauce is, like I said, basil, garlic, tomato, a little bit of salt. And I'm actually going to put on mushroom and cheese. Now, I do believe in using good ingredients. I will not ever use Kraft mozzarella or fake mozzarella. The mozzarella I'm using today is DOC Italian mozzarella. It is a little bit more expensive. I've again got this from Costco. But I do believe that using some of the better ingredients does deliver a much better pizza. So this is the particular mozzarella I'm using. So I'm just going to slice 1 ball, maybe 2, see how crazy I'm going to get. And I'm just going to evenly spread this out across the pizza. Again, you know, I'm making quite a simple pizza, but I do believe that simple cooking is the best cooking. But you can dress the pizza whatever you might like. And you might want to make your pizza more round, but a square pizza works for me. We'll chop up the mushrooms. And I've got some basil out on the balcony, and I'll be putting some fresh basil on top as well. I do like making pizzas without any cheese as well, just with some oregano, some capers. There's loads of different recipes that you can use. The simpler the better, and is quite often the case. Okay, so we're ready to chuck it in. There's some fresh basil as well. Just chuck a little bit on top. And we're ready to stick it in the oven. And in part 2, you're going to see it going into the oven, and coming out of the oven nicely cooked. Let's just see if we can slide this off my makeshift pizza paddle into the preheated oven onto the pizza stone. And we're good. See you in part 2. I just wanted to show you the midway through cooking. The pizza's been in there for around about 3 minutes or 3:44, and as you can see, I don't know if you can see that, but it's coming out nicely. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to quickly open up the door, and I'm going to see if I need to spin it round, see if there's any hot spots. You can either spin the pizza, the ceramic plate, or you can spin the pizza around if it's cooked enough, and hopefully it's not sticking. I've never had it stick before, but there's always a first time, so let's check this out. So yeah, already it's got a nice crust to it, and we'll just spin that round. You might want to use a tool and not your fingers, but that's starting to cook off nicely. And that's been in there for 4 minutes and 23 seconds at around about 520 degrees. So we can use this time for either tidying up the mess or enjoying a glass of wine. I'll see you in part 3 when we tuck into the pizza. Take the pizza out. It's been cooking for exactly 11 minutes. Now, depending on how you like your pizza, it's up to you when you take it out. I'm going to use my makeshift pizza paddle. Again, it's not advised because you might burn yourself. But there we have it. I think it's pretty much as good as it gets without a stone wood-fired pizza oven. All the cheese is nicely cooked. The crust looks fantastic. It's nice and crispy throughout. Nice and hard all the way through. I'm going to let that cool a little while before I cut into it and eat it.